You're a dick.
Oh,
You are a dick.
We couldn't go back-to-back weeks of having Tues rants, could we?
Well, give the people what they want, Sean.
By people, you mean one person. One person on Twitter, one text. That was it. There was two people. Two people in all this great country, including people from the States who have been listening. Nobody wanted. You don't get a vote. You don't get a vote. There's no vote for you. Welcome to Mashup 49. That's what we're going to start it the right way, with Tues not getting a say on whether he gets to rant or not. That's my thought.
What a bunch of malarkey.
This Mashup 49.
We're going to go on strike.
Yeah, well.
I need to unionize.
Mashup 49 brought to you by GardenGirl.ca. Did you ever think in your wildest dreams the Tuesday Mashup would be brought to you by Garden Girl?
It makes perfect sense, Sean.
Maybe it does.
It absolutely does. I mean, like, their whole thing is that they're passionate about people growing their own food and wanting to learn to grow their own stuff. And, you know, the more self-sufficient people can be, the less they need to rely on things like the liberal grocery handout, right?
Yes.
And so, I mean, it's a very good fit.
I didn't say it wasn't a good fit. I just never, in my wildest dreams, thought we'd be GardenGirl.ca. Anyways.
Totally, it makes a world of sense. You know, they've got the stuff where you can grow indoors. Like I just replanted some of my, the little pots I got by the windowsill because it gets a little bit cold there in the wintertime. So, I'm getting ready to have some lettuce and chives and things like that. And then in the next week or two, I got to get started on, the little pods that you get everything planted in where you can move them outside. So, yeah, I quite like this.
I agree, too. So for the month of April, it's Ariel out of Regina, Saskatchewan, another Sask fan of the show.
Yeah.
That's GardenGirl.ca. 15% discount on seeds and bulbs for all the listeners. Discount code is Mashup. They ship across Canada. They're a small family-owned business who believes everyone should know how to grow their own food. We are talking lettuce, tomatoes, potatoes, and, a whole bunch of other things. And she says something, for the love of God, just grow something. It's essential. That we're going to toss the link in the show notes, but it's essentially GardenGirl.ca. And when it pops up, it allows for a discount code, and just put in Mashup and you get 15% off. So that's pretty sweet, nice and easy, and we'll throw it in the show notes.
And the cross-Canada shipping, unless I'm mistaken, is I think $8 flat, which you can't even hardly buy a stamp for that.
It's fair. So new month, new sponsor, having a little bit of fun. Mashup 49, closing in on 52, which is, as we've been joking a little bit, I think.
51 will be. Actually, 50. Next week's going to be 1 year. Because we skipped 1 week while we were figuring out what it was going to look like to actually
and then we took Christmas off.
So next week is going to be the 1 year anniversary.
What are we doing for 1 year? Yeah, Garden Girl's getting just a gem of a week, 1 year anniversary. I don't even know what to do on that.
I don't know. I'm not buying you diamonds if that's what you're asking.
That sounds kind of nice. Anyways. You know what also is 1 year on a side note? April 1st.
Congratulations.
Terrible.
That's something worth diamonds, to be honest.
Terrible day. I don't know why it ever landed that way, but April 1st was my first day of full-time podcasting a year ago. So it was a year of full-time podcasting, April 1st. No April Fool's joke.
Good for you, man.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you. Now, in saying that, nobody came to hear that. They want Mashup 49, and so we're going to give it to them here. We got comments coming in. What? Oh. Isn't that funny? George, come on,
you know what?
George.
Okay. I take umbrage with this because I quite like that jam. But
so
I tell you
George,
what.
George says, I hate the music. And just in back, George is from Eastern Europe. He's immigrated to Canada. Anyways, that's funny.
Well, go back to where you came from if you don't like it.
Oh, man.
We have been toying with the idea of doing something different with the...
And it's Daniel Smith's birthday.
April Smith is Daniel Smith's birthday. That's correct. Yeah. From George. But, yeah.
What is going on today?
Here we
Ken
go.
McCammon says, let him rant. I love it.
What a beauty, Ken. I appreciate your support.
Okay. And oh, man. And here it is. Tues needs to record his rant, and we can listen to it after the show. That's Dave Amiette. So there you go. Maybe there are a few more people that are holding on that Tuesday's going to get a rant here, folks. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this. Um, I don't like this.
I don't know.
That's it. No more lives.
We're
Lives are done. No more.
we're about to start a YouTube channel, so I don't know. Maybe I could throw some rants on there if you guys are interested, or I just yell at clouds and things like that.
Oh, we could do that. Hey, I tell you what, Tuesdays we're branching out. We're gonna go on the YouTube road and see how long we last. We'll see how that goes. Either way, we're gonna have some fun with it. Hopefully, find a few different ways. And with May 29th coming quickly, and the Mashup gonna be doing some election coverage, we figure we
It
might as well
just
try
makes
and
sense to
yeah.
hit all the stops, right? And I mean, we didn't cover PEIs tonight, which I mean, you guys are gonna be listening to this unless you're live, like Gary, for example. But uh, if you're listening to this on the podcast, the PEI election just happened, and the Conservatives got a walloping 22 seats for a vast majority. Keep in mind that you're dealing with a population that's quite small in Prince Edward Island, even though they still have 4 seats in the federal parliament.
Okay, well let's fire this thing up, shall we?
Yes.
Shall we get it rolling here?
Oh,
We got 12 items today. I feel like that's 24 minutes by our standard, and by our standard,
make it
it's gonna.
26 because one of them's kind of a super conglomerate.
Oh my God! Actually, that's true. The one I have like a page and a half of notes. Anyways, I would normally say 24 minutes, which I would say we could probably get done in 39. Somehow we're gonna stretch it to 44 and 30 seconds. That's my guess.
Do it.
The timer starts now. Here we go. It is Trudeau's Liberals, a job-creating powerhouse. Here it is. The federal Liberal government tabled a budget Tuesday that calls for billions of dollars in new spending, something they've done in every other fiscal document for the last 7 years. So every year they've done the same similar things. A review of
They're consistent.
their you can't argue with consistency. A review of federal finances show just how big the government has become in recent years. As a result, Ottawa is projected to spend about $151 billion more next year than it did since 2014-15, the year before Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his party won government in November. It's not just expenses. Federal public service employment has increased by 31%. In the 7 years, the government has added nearly 80,000 employees to the roster during its tenure. Total expenses for the federal government were $280.4 billion in the 2014-15 fiscal year, and that's roughly, with inflation, 345. And the finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, budget projects. Total expenses will be $496 billion for this year.
Okay, so think about it this way for a second. That amount of people, 80,000 jobs. We've got a 65.7% labor engagement rate or whatever it is. That's, if you look at 100 people in Canada, 65.7 of them have jobs. So that's like every single job, every job in a place the size of Moncton, New Brunswick. Like, basically, if you're not one of the top 2 cities in Canada, that's every single job in your town, community, city, whatever, multiple times over. Like, it's more than Nanaimo has. It's more than Red Deer or Thunder Bay. It's like 2 Granbys, if anybody's listening from fucking Quebec.
We still not had anyone chime in from Quebec. I don't think we have.
Yeah, I mean, we don't parlez-vous, so what are they going to listen to, right? Yeah, so this is insane. And like, out of this whole budget, the only thing where they're actually cutting back on is that they cut the salary for the conflict of interest ethics commissioner by a third. That's it. They cut it by like $110,000. And that's the job that they're trying to fill, which we're going to get to later. But that's the only thing out of this absolute cornucopia of spending that they thought was worth just trimming back a little bit on. And they cut it back by a whole fucking third. As if that isn't a fuck you to the people who are actually calling them out on their bullshit. I don't know what is.
Oh, man. Okay, the PEI election. Okay, here and of course, Sean, would he be ready to go? No, he had to have a few minor issues going on. So
Beer.
let's, yeah, no, something like that. Here we go. Here's what it looked like. Um,
So this was the projection, and
this
actually
was
the Conservatives appear to have done slightly better than that. The Liberals roughly the same. The Greens a lot less. The Greens actually, or pardon me, the Liberals a bit less. The Greens a bit less, even though the Liberals took more seats because of just the way first past the post works. And the NDP, as always, they're not even bridesmaids. They're not even ring bearers. They're not even ushers.
here. I'll bring up
Zero
the.
seats in Prince Edward Island, as per the usual. I don't know if I've ever told you this, Sean, but they're not a serious party.
I've never heard that before. Here's the change in seats compared to 2019. There you go. +9 for the Conservatives, Liberals down 3, Greens down 6, and there you have it.
Yep. Although, to be fair, Atlantic conservative parties are a lot like socialist prairie parties. So when you look at it, you're like, oh, the Conservatives won. Here's the thing that nobody ever really asks is just because conservative is in their name, are they actually conservative?
That's a fair point, honestly.
Right. But, anyways, that's our quick little bit on that one. I feel like we're going to have a lot more to say come May 29th.
Well, yeah, I'm excited for May 29th election
Oh,
night coverage.
absolutely. I've got. Have you looked at the document I shared with you with all of my notes and thoughts and everything like that? It's a fucking novel.
You know what's going to be hard for twos, folks, on election night coverage is allowing a guest to speak. That could be interesting. It's not going to be Sean throwing twos softballs all night, although that would probably be in there too. Who am I kidding? But regardless, I'm excited. It should be a fun little adventure. I think.
Well,
I
mean,
know.
we haven't finalized the roster yet, but we've got a few very well respected names, a few people with some really interesting things to say are going to be popping in and talking about it and stuff like that. It's something that you should put on your calendars. I mean, it's probably you're gonna yeah. It's the election, but just when the election happens, think of us.
Climate change. Professional wrestling's less believable cousin. This one. Okay, let's see here. Oak forests, rugged canyons, and mountain creeks make the tiny communities of Lake Hughes and Elizabeth Lake in northwestern Los Angeles County seem as far as one can get from urban commotion and pollution. They also said their lifestyle is getting edgier because of cascading consequences of climate whiplash, wildfires, flash floods, and landslides that have visibly altered the contours of the surrounding Sierra Pelona mountains at the headwaters of the Santa Clarita River. If you read to the end of the article, it then goes on to say the community has rejected proposals to form a flood control district, which they said would increase local taxes and add to a layer of government intervention and their rural lifestyles. And
That's
then,
not the news, Sean.
well, what do you
It's
want?
the climate whiplash.
You want climate?
Like
Okay,
they're always
sure.
coming up with these sexy and scary names like polar vortex and what was that one with like the currents and the atmospheric river and now it's climate whiplash and like it's almost as though they're taking their names
It's
from
almost as
professional
though
wrestling moves. It's like, oh, we got hit with the climate razor's edge, right? Like they should go just full Chris Jericho on this and be like, you know what? We got hit with the climate moss-covered three-handled family grunduzzle or the climate Saskatchewan spinning nerve hold, both of which are actual wrestling moves because they're just trying to say, okay, well, what's the scariest bunch of random words we could throw together? Like you'd think they'd throw in something from, I don't know, Saw or Halloween or something like that. Like, I want to play a climate game. It's past the point of idiocy at this point.
Two sends me this, and I'm like, what the? Like, what does he say to me? The moss-covered three-handled family grunduzzle. Grundunzel. I'm like,
this is what they're naming weather after now. This is the stuff right here. Like, it's the Shooting Star Staples Super Press. You just throw the word climate in there somewhere, or atmospheric, or oceanic, or whatever else, right? Oh,
This
Super
is
Blizzard. Super Blizzard's on there. Look at it. Super Blizzard. It says right there. It's total wrestling moves. This is it. This is what they've been doing. The World Economic Forum has been plagiarizing a Reddit thread about crazy wrestling move names.
Here Sean was trying to decipher what the hell Twos was trying to throw at him. I read both and I'm like, okay, so but I missed the whiplash. I just completely like glazed over it. I'm like, well, I assume this is what he's trying to say. Sean should never assume with Twos. That would just, this is what happens. Anyways, irrelevant media posts nothing burger articles. This is about Alberta. Alberta is gearing up for a provincial election this spring, where you can watch the Tuesday Mashup give you some coverage. Anyways, but the right-wing political
Let's not beat a dead horse, Sean.
But the right-wing political action groups and third-party advertisers who want to see Daniel Smith and a far-right slate of candidates from form government have already begun their work. I'm surprised. I was kind of curious too if our name was going to be on this list when I see the list. Anyways, some groups are running TV ads.
We're not nearly that important.
Some post memes on Facebook, while others are organizing behind the scenes to take over the governing United Conservative Party itself in the post-Jason Kenney era. Messaging from more active groups is a mix of rhetoric about Alberta independence, conspiracies about the pandemic,
yes,
and and vaccines, as well as shilling for business interests. The number one group they talked about was Take Back Alberta. You know who I had on the podcast today?
Who did you have on the podcast?
I had David
today?
fucking Parker on the podcast.
I didn't know that. I was going to say you talked with him with the Western Standard stuff. I was going to segue into that. I didn't know you talked about it today.
Yeah, it was my episode today. So I damn near laughed. I'm like, well, I've literally interviewed the first guy they're like saying like is the most dangerous guy in Alberta about the upcoming election. Anyways.
Did he try and stab you?
No, I'm waiting to get to the
maybe he's not as dangerous as everybody's saying.
I'm waiting to get to the bottom where they just see me and you like having a good old time, talking about conspiracies and laughing about the news headlines.
Well,
and this mashup is dangerous things. You shouldn't be listening to it. They're shilling for the common man.
It's honestly,
and I tell you shouldn't be watching this stuff. It'll fill your head with nonsense.
Press Progress, the Tyee, Narwhal, they're basically just union propagandists disguised as news. And so it's just really interesting because they just say, oh, well, this is a group of very concerned Albertans who have organized and they're trying to direct the flow that our government goes in. And that's somehow evil. And the interesting thing is there's no counterpoint to this at all in any of this. Even CTV picked it up. And they don't talk about how all of the NDP money comes from unions. All of their support comes from unions. And when you think about it as a taxpayer, you are on the opposite side of the table from the public sector unions. And so when you're a taxpayer, you should not want your enemy at this particular spot. I'm going to get misquoted for this in 20 years, I'm sure. But anyway, your adversary, when you're discussing what's fair recompense for the work that they're doing, which is generally shit, you don't want them just buying up elections like they did in Calgary, like they did in Edmonton. Look how that's going for everybody. And so you're like, ooh, this is super scary. There's a bunch of people who are concerned that they want things to go well in the province, and they're getting organized. And there's absolutely nothing of substance in this article other than just the fact that they're organized and they've got some funding and they're actively working within their local boards to
and
affect
they're conspiracy
change.
Theorists. Don't forget they're conspiracy theorists. We can't have any of that in anywhere in politics.
Here's a crazy conspiracy. The NDP suck.
Eileen Clark says we love David Parker. Hey, there you go.
We do too.
There's a lot of people out there that are following right along. You know what's funny? I've heard this headline before. I feel like it's kind of like becoming. We need a little song and dance for this one. The NDP are not a serious party. Oh, here we go.
I'm not grabbing my guitar. Let's just get into it.
Even my father texted me about this one tonight. Okay. Like, I think the world wanted to make sure the mashup was going to talk about this. Anyways, former BC Premier John Horgan's first job after officially resigning his seat in the BC legislature will be with, drumroll please,
a coal company.
You cannot make this up.
So
Yeah,
this is the guy who actively stymied pipelines from Alberta and Saskatchewan getting to Tidewater through British Columbia in the safest and most environmentally responsible way possible for literal years. He retires from the NDP, and basically, before he even tries on his golf shoes, he's back at it on the board of a coal mine.
Here's what Rex Murphy had to say. Did you see Rex Murphy's article? It was about carbon tax,
Yeah.
but at the very end of it, it talks about Horgan. Did you see this?
Yeah, he said he was a tool.
Yeah, he did. Speaking of coal, here's a quiz. This is Rex Murphy now. Name the recent BC premier who fought pipelines with a frenzy in the name of saving the planet, who, now out of office, has taken a position on a BC coal company board. A coal company board. You cannot make this stuff up. The leather on the BC Premier's cabinet chair is still warm from his hindquarters, and John Horgan, and I quote, "I'll fight it with every tool in the toolbox," is now a coal mining director. Speaking of tools, ... That's Rex Murphy in the National Post today.
This is the NDP. It's all just pomp and circumstance and just showboating without doing anything behind to actually make the change or even believe in the change. Like, honestly, I'm calling it now. I bet you in about a year and a half, the NDP in Alberta are going to rebrand.
Really?
And they're going to, yep. We'll talk about it on May 29th, but let's not beat a dead horse.
But let's not beat a dead horse. Okay, fair. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I'm interested what you think they're going to call themselves. We've been right about light beer all along.
There's no article with that. I moved it down to the other thing. Shit, I was going to tell you about this, and I forgot. Okay, just skip. Sorry. This is my bad, folks. Move to the next one.
Hope they don't shit on you, Bubbles.
Shit on who?
Shit hogs. Big, dirty shit hogs.
You know, we got to play that quote because Tooze is an idiot, and he did. You come on the mashup, I'm like, I should ask why there's no article. But you know what's funny? Every week, folks, I go to Tooze.
I've
I
never
said, why
done no articles or links or anything like that.
You know, he's going to try and justify it. Every time Sean's like, hey,
No,
what's going on with this
I
thing?
already
He's
said
usually like, oh, no, just let it roll. I got something like, just fire. Oh, yeah, I can't wait to just
That's
like.
absolutely true. I
That
don't
is
ever
absolutely
want to
true.
tell you what's
So the
going
first
on
time I
because it's
look
gotta
at this
be
and I'm
organic.
like, he's got something. Tooze has got something about light beer. Does he have anything about light beer? No, he does not. So now
Stay tuned.
So now I got to find a way to fill air for a couple minutes so that I make my 43 minutes and 30 seconds or whatever I said. Anyways, here we go. Okay, Liberals, LeBlanc out on conflict of interest. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his cabinet have a very spotty record of complying with the Federal Conflict of Interest Act. You don't say. Trudeau has broken it twice in the Aga Khan affair and the SNC Lavalin scandal. And Dominic LeBlanc, the Liberal Fisheries Minister, now Intergovernmental Affairs Minister, violated the act in 2018 when he awarded a lucrative fishing license to a company linked to his wife's cousin. These incidents make Trudeau's recent decision to name LeBlanc's sister-in-law, Martine Richard, as Canada's interim ethics commissioner responsible for enforcing the Conflict of Interest Act completely inappropriate. And Trudeau has defended the appointment by arguing Richard is a senior official in the ethics commissioner's office who has done excellent work there for more than a decade, starting under the Stephen Harper Conservative.
Has she? Okay, here's the thing. In all fairness, when you're hiring somebody for a position, you want somebody who has experience. You want somebody who knows the ins and outs. You want somebody who has a good grasp of the subject material that they're going to be dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And who better than the brother-in-law of the former fisheries minister who was violating the Conflict of Interest Act himself? Having said that, is there nobody else in Ottawa who is not a fucking cousin of a Liberal? I mean, you've got the rapporteur whose grandkids play with Trudeau's kids, who's been a family friend for decades. You're like, oh, the Aga Khan used to hang out with my dad, so I'm going to go down and visit him. It's not conflict of interest. Okay, sorry, it's I'm going to pay the $200 fine. I mean, there is so much nepotism in that city. It's fucking disgusting. I don't understand why the federal governments, when the Conservatives are in charge, and even the provincial ones, honestly, like, why do they always want to consolidate in the one city? You're just setting up a cesspool of bullshit. Like, throw a little bit, like, Alberta. Why don't you throw a little bit of the provincial governance bullshit, bureaucratic nonsense, do nothing jobs? Throw a couple of them to Lethbridge and a couple to Fort McMurray and, a couple here and a couple there, instead of trying to put them all in one city, which is just going to cesspool all the unions together. And then all of a sudden you've got this black hole where you're not going to win any seats. It doesn't make sense electorally. It doesn't make sense in terms of what's best for the taxpayers. They never do this. And now you got this thing where they're like, oh yeah, the best person for the job is my wife's cousin's boyfriend's brother. And it's just like, honestly, like we joke about how inbred Manitobans are. Let's look at Ottawa for a fucking second, Sean.
Man, conflict of interest. It's a hard thing to understand, it's a hard thing to understand, I don't get why I can't award it to my wife's brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Western Standard has the second best April Fool's prank this year.
And it was beautiful.
Yeah. I don't even know where I put it. Like, what am I doing on this side? You got me so confused.
Dr. Jordan B. Peterson retweeted it. So Western Standard wrote an article, and they tweeted about it as well. And the tweet said that one lane along the 8,000-kilometer highway, the Trans-Canada Highway, will be repurposed from motor vehicles to bicycles and other human-powered transportation, which sounds exactly like something the Liberals would do. That just screams Justin Trudeau. I'm a fucking idiot who's never had to drive anywhere because I have private jets taking me all over the fucking place. It makes perfect sense. And so Dr. Jordan Peterson, who is not a slouch by any means, says this idiot country is sheathed in ice 7 months of the year, and the Trans-Canada Highway, in brackets, an underdeveloped national disgrace, is 5,000 miles long. Is there nothing so stupid you won't do it at Justin Trudeau? So yeah, he got.
He got. There it
is. The Western Standard totally just set the hook, reeled it in, and he's flopping on the boat. Well done, Western Standard.
Yeah, I mean, for them to have Jordan
Not
Peterson.
for anybody.
For
anybody.
For anyone. True. But for a man of Jordan Peterson's stature, for a Western Canadian news outlet, etc., to have that out there, maybe it does nothing, but I assume it does a little more.
Absolutely makes sense. This is the same kind of thing. Like, remember the first time we ever talked on your podcast before we even knew each other at all, and I was talking about that parody account, the Catherine McKenna parody account that got kicked off of Twitter because Brett Wilson looked at it and said, okay, well, that sounds like something that Catherine McKenna would do. And it was just absolutely asinine bullshit, which is exactly what Catherine McKenna would have done. And then the Liberal government reached out to Twitter and got that Twitter account shut down. This is the same kind of thing. This is that level of high quality parody that so many of us aspire to, where we just want to be that good and we want to get people. This is like that guy in Alaska in the 70s who spent like months lugging tires up to the top of the fucking mountain. And then on April 1st, he just poured a bunch of gas on them and lit them on fire. And then everybody thought the fucking volcano had gone active, but it was him just fucking around with old tires. This is that epic level of trolling. And honestly, if you're not subscribing to the Western Standard, you fucking should, because this is well done.
Oh, man. Okay. Parliament has best April Fool's prank this year.
Okay, so Western Standard was good. This one's better.
The Liberals' budget set aside... Well, now I'm reading the wrong one. Canada Parliamentary Budget Office says the average family in 7 provinces where Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's carbon tax now applies will pay hundreds of dollars more in carbon taxes this year than they will get back in rebates. With Justin Trudeau's carbon tax increase by 30% to 65 tons per $65 per ton of greenhouse gas emissions from 50 per ton on April 1st. When both fiscal and economic impacts of the federal fuel charge are considered, we estimate that most households will see a net loss, paying more in fuel charges, GST, as well as receiving lower incomes compared to the climate action incentive payments they received and lower personal income taxes they pay. They estimate the net cost of an average household in Ontario will be $478 this year, and by rising to 1820 in 2030. It goes on to list all the provinces and what they're going to see. Just put it this way. It's going to be
Everybody's
a price,
getting screwed.
Correct. And then
Stephen Guilbeault was actually on CTV's, not Power and Politics, whatever. I don't know. They've all got stupid names. But he was with Vasi Kapelos. And she actually, to her credit, got him to admit that for the average Canadian, they were going to be paying more. The carbon tax went up on April 1st. The alcohol tax went up on April 1st. All of the generic, I think cigarettes maybe went up on April 1st too. And then the one other thing that went up on April 1st.
MPs will take their fourth pay raise since the beginning of the pandemic on April 1st.
Yep.
And it's estimated this year's pay raise will range from an extra $5,100 to the backbench MP to an extra $10,000 for the Prime Minister, based on contract data published by the federal government. So everything's going up, including how much we're paying our officials. And the Canadian taxpayer pointed out an increase in 14 cents per liter for gasoline, 12 cents per cubic meter of natural gas, as well as a 2% raise on beer, wine, and spirits.
Yeah. So think about this for a second. We pay for Justin Trudeau's housing. We pay for his entire family's groceries, which gets up to $12,000 a month, while he jet sets around the fucking world. We pay for his vacation property on the lake that he never fucking goes to because he's always off to Costa Rica and Jamaica and some fucking idiot fucking shit that none of us can afford to go to. And at the same time, while this fucking vapid moron has zero personal expenses, we gave him a $10,000 a year raise. Just buzz me out. I don't even. Yeah. Okay. That's even better.
I don't know. I have nothing to add to that, honestly. It's a sad state of affairs when that's what's going on. Everything's going up.
This is like when Maduro in Venezuela did that public service announcement about how bad it was and how people were feeling poor and everything like that, and the socialist country was collapsing, and he just sat there eating an orange, and he's like, well, I've got an orange. I don't know why you guys are complaining.
Trends discussing reaching boiling point. Here's the first. Okay, this
was very nearly the happy news.
Okay, so this is there's a lot to this. Okay, let's start here. A bearded pro powerlifter entered a women's competition in Canada and smashed a record held by a trans lifter who was watching. Okay, I'm going to read that one more time so everybody can understand what I just said. A bearded pro powerlifter entered a women's competition in Canada, smashed the record held by a trans lifter who was watching. Okay, so he was in the anyways. Avi Silverberg, the head coach for the head coach for Team Canada Powerlifting for more than 10 years, entered Saturday's Heroes Classic tournament in Lethbridge, Alberta, after identifying as a female. Video shared by this is the guy, obviously, on the video. Video shared by athlete activist group, the Independent Council on Women's Sport, shows him walking up the platform, still fully bearded and wearing a regular men's singlet. He then casually bench pressed nearly 370 pounds, beating the current Alberta women's record by almost 100 pounds. And the bearded pro powerlifter entered a women's competition. Anyways.
He smashed the records, showing up just as he was, said, I identify as a woman, beat the shit out of the records.
Correct.
And then walked away while this trans athlete who had everybody else competing for second place is now pissed. And so it's Oh, it's so poetic. It's beautiful. I don't think Shakespeare, if you gave him 1,000 years and 1,000,000 pages of paper,
Could have wrote
assuming
something like
also
that.
the appropriate amount of ink as well, I don't think he could have come up with something that good. Like, just there's so much there. Okay, where do I even start with this? Okay, in professional sports, as in professional anything, you've got this public persona that everybody feels like they need to put forward, and they don't ever want to be the person at the company to say this is bullshit and have it come back and reflect on them. And so they get personally shamed into doing stupid things in the interests of the company. And this is what happens with these professional organizations like the NHL, which we're going to get to, like this powerlifting thing, like all of this stuff where you have this 6'5", 50-year-old dude in the States playing on a college women's basketball team. And he's basically like every other chick on the basketball team, which tend to be tall girls, by the way, like up to here on him. Like they'd have.
Did you see the Did you see the New Zealand Prime Minister? Did you see that one? When he's asked about how do you define a woman, and then he goes, "Well, I didn't prepare for that question." And then he's like, "I think you get to decide. I think you get to decide." Anyways, you're like, "Oh boy." How about this? Okay, you brought up the NHL. In response to an increasing number of players engaging in silent protests against the NHL's Pride Nights, a new report claims the league is reevaluating the events, which may lead to them being canceled. Currently, all the teams in the NHL hold Pride Nights. However, some now do so without them themed jerseys, as the events are planned by the individual teams, not the league. And Gary Bettman said in an interview with CTV News when asked about the players that have refused to wear Pride-themed jerseys this season, "This is the first time we've experienced that, and I think it's something that we're going to have to evaluate in the offseason." Of course, he's talking about James Reimer, Provorov, now Eric and Mark Stahl have done it. You've got teams like Chicago, New York Rangers, just not wearing the jerseys whatsoever. So it'll be interesting to see where that leads overall.
Okay, look, if there's any trans people listening to this who are pushing for this sort of thing, just hear me out for a second. I will solve all of your problems. All you need to do is you just need to say, okay, we understand that everybody on the ice at the same time needs to wear the same jersey. So they've got their game jerseys. But if you want to wear a different one during the warm-up, it doesn't ever have to be organized. It doesn't ever have to be mandatory. But you just give all of the NHL players the option of anytime you want, you can just wear a trans or LGBT, whatever, alphabet soup fucking jersey you want. Look, it's there if you want it. If you don't, no worries. And every game, there's going to be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 players who are just like, okay, well, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I can wear that this week. And that's it. That's it. That's all it ever has to be. Because as soon as you make everybody wear the ribbon, who wants to wear the ribbon? Like, it's just forcing people to buy into this or anything else is just going to get pushback, right? I mean, you say, we want rights, we want rights, we want rights. Well, you know what? Eventually, people are going to start pushing back, and you're going to get so many rights, you're going to be begging for a left. Or just keep it civil. Just make it fun and friendly and optional. And people are going to actually support you. Don't be a dick about it. Or whatever the hell your genitals are nowadays.
I'm gonna keep going here through this is an extended list on this one because there was some interesting articles. The next one was CBS top executives ban staff from using the word transgender in reporting on the Nashville shooter, in spite of the fact the police stated Audrey Hale was transgender at this was considered to be an important point in the case, reports in the New York Post. And that's if you've seen the body cam footage and everything of going in and the school
absolute
shooting.
Badass. Hats off to those guys.
Just wild that they. I mean,
compared to the body cams for the Uvalde guys, where they're just getting hand sanitizer and standing. Serious.
And then the final one, I didn't realize this. So I got the old boys told me about this. So they stopped drinking Bud Light, and I heard about it. I was like, what? the hell are you talking about? Well, here it is. Okay. So did you see the Drew Barrymore interview with this Dylan Mulvaney, where she gets down? You haven't seen that?
Yeah,
Anyways,
the last time I saw Drew Barrymore do anything,
I didn't even realize she had a
was
talk
in the
show.
first Scream movie.
Let's be clear here. I'm not saying I'm a Drew Barrymore fan. I'm saying for a guy who sits on Twitter all the time, it was a huge thing for like a couple days. I didn't know who it was. I just knew it was a.
Oh, she was in ET back in the day, and she's
Anyways, trans TikTok star Dylan Mulvaney was announced as the latest spokesperson for Bud Light in a pair of videos that were attacked on social media. The trans activist revealed on Saturday that the beer company sent packs of Bud Light featuring the influencer's face as a way to celebrate 365 days of girlhood, a milestone for Mulvaney recently reached.
So this was the headline when I was starting to put the mashup together, and then I realized I was like, you know what, I better put it together with everything else. But yeah, this is, some people are going on Twitter and saying like, oh, you know what? Why are you, what the hell is wrong with you? Why would you do something like this? Why are you alienating your customer base? But let's be honest for a second. Like, let's just have a real discussion. You, me, everybody listening. Light beer, this is their target base.
You think Bud Light's target base is
I'm just shit talking people who drink light beer, Sean.
fair? Here's what John Cardillo had to write. Who the hell at Bud Light thought it was a good idea to make a grown man who dresses like little girls their new spokesperson? Brands have to stop listening to their woke creative teams and get in touch with their consumer demographics.
Pretending it's beer?
Unless you're
Pretending it's beer, Sean? I feel like there's a little, like, you could probably make a bit of an argument there.
I tell you what, a bunch of light beer drinkers are like, fuck it, going to the hard stuff. Let's go. Like,
screw this. We're going back to the Rebel.
Earl Whaley says, I'm going back through some old comments. He said, evening, boys. And then he followed it up with, we're Venezuela North. And
we absolutely are.
Ooh, I didn't know this. Red Deer, Rex Murphy's in Red Deer, May 5th. Interesting.
Maybe, is there a Star
Sandy
Wars thing
Hogger?
going on?
I don't know.
All right. I need to look into this.
You must
wear the ribbon.
You must wear.
Yeah. If you get it, you get it.
And Eileen says no self-respecting Canadian drinks light beer. I guess her and Tews
she's absolutely right.
Her and Tews get along just great, Anyway, it's what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I'm trying to find the buzzer. I can't find the buzzer. There it is.
Just hit any random button.
I'm
just
starting to get there.
Your garage door will be opening, and you'll be like, okay, let's move on to the next thing.
Oh my goodness, bleeding heart. Oh no, you know what? I wanted to show one more thing on this before we hop away.
Okay, all right. He's just got to keep talking after the buzzer.
No, because I've had Billboard Chris on the podcast.
I remember that. Yeah,
they're getting that kind of representation. I mean, it's clearly was aggressive violence.
Oh, that was kind of loud. Anyways, could you hear that, Tews?
It sounded normal, but I don't know how it'll play on the podcast.
Yeah, fair enough. So I guess this is how it starts. For people watching it, this lady is waving a flag in Billboard Chris' hand in his face, and then she just basically saying, "You suck."
By far not the first aggressive person either. And then it's chant of "fuck you," and he gets. I don't know.
This is just terrible. Sean just can't even frickin' pull together a night tonight. 49. Let's. Anyways, she starts yelling profanities at him, and you get the point. Sean just can't get back to the couch soon enough.
Just scroll ahead just a little bit further. She's right in his face. It's getting close. Just wait for it, folks.
Who is this Sean Newman guy that they have hosting?
Just look at how aggressive this person is being, right? And kaboom!
Yeah, and I mean, wild stuff. Anyways, I wanted to show it because I've had Billboard Chris on, and
I remember that episode. Yeah,
he was just on Tucker Carlson, and
he was. It's really interesting because technically he touched her first by about 0.003 of a second, but it did happen. He had his hand, like, it wasn't like he was leaning into it like he was going to push her away. It was very much a, let's get some separation thing. And I mean, she was right in his grill. He was,
Well, you can just see the anger. He's not reacting to it. It's a wild
and
video
it was
to watch.
very much just like a thing. So technically, he touched her first, him first. God, I hate this shit. Whatever.
Bleeding?
He touched that.
Don't even worry
thing
about
first.
it. I wanted to
Okay.
bring it. I wanted to bring it up just because.
And then all of a sudden, this dude in a ponytail is putting on the foil and going AWOL. Not AWOL, ape shit. Yeah. And so now they tried talking to some of the VPT about it, the Vancouver Police Department, and they're like, there was this chick who was like, oh, well, basically it was just like asking for it, because he just showed up to this thing and he was standing there quietly with a sign and just trying to say something without saying it. And of course there's going to be issues. So obviously, and then everybody in the VBD is mad at the people who are, I would say, very rightly outraged at the way the VPT did not handle the escalation. Like, it doesn't take a rocket Scientologist to look at that situation and say that it's going to escalate when you've got this guy just standing there quietly and then this right in his face with just, the 5 o'clock shadow and the long blonde ponytail and maybe like the big burly shoulders. Not big enough to win a weightlifting record, but a little bit. Obviously, shit's about to go down, okay? I'm sorry. This kind of thing gets my goat.
Speaking of goats, Bleeding Heart doesn't read fine print. I can't believe this made the headlines this week. Other than, anyways, Two's dug up some literal gold this week in a couple different places. Here it is. A California woman sold her daughter's pet goat to her local county and district state fair, but now she's suing them after they allegedly slaughtered and barbecued it. Jessica Long purchased cedar.
That's it right there. That's the whole story, Sean. Except it isn't, because then they go on this 500-mile wide manhunt for a fucking goat. Because, okay, they steal the goat from the fair after they're like, what it's gonna be.
Wait,
what?
they're gonna kill it?
It's gonna be. They're not just gonna love it forever for the rest of its life. No. That's it's going on the grill, and they're like, oh shit. And so they stole the goat after it had already been sold.
That's cedar right there, if anybody's wondering.
They stole the goat, and then they took it back to their farm, and then they worried that the cops were going to try and track them down, and so they tried hiding it out at like a safe barn, like a safe house. Like, they put them in goatness protection program and tried to hide it from the authorities so that the cops wouldn't find them, and then the cops tracked the goat down anyway. Like, as if you could tell the difference between two stupid fucking goats. And they took it all the way back across like 500 miles to the fair where they're like, okay, we got the goat now. And then they chopped it up and fucking ate it. The parents are like, can you believe this shit? This is just like, we sold them the goat and then they paid for the goat and we received the money for the goat, but then they wanted to eat it. And then they had the nerve to steal it back from us after we stole it from them. Of course I had to have this in the mashup, Sean. They're trying to sue them for eating the goat that they bought.
I can't even hold it together right now. Like,
no kidding around.
I liked how they. I mean, it's Anyways, you feel for the little girl because she didn't.
No,
realize.
you don't.
I feel a little bit for the little girl, but then when they stole the goat and like it just became this like wild, like this
Like
is the
just
greatest
Bonnie
movie ever.
Bonnie
Like they
and
can't,
Clydesdale?
like they can't make this into a movie too. It would be just freaking hilarious. Like this is a
This
great
is like
movie.
that Jeff Daniels movie with the geese, basically, except like if they all just got shot at the end.
I don't
think
think
they-
I've laughed.
they
I don't
went
think
to
I've.
land on
I
a
don't think I've
slough
laughed
and-
this hard on the mashup in a long time, if ever. This article is just beautiful. Like I mean, it's. Anyways, you can't write something like that. Anyways. Or maybe this would have been more fitting. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I have happy news next. Now you have changed something on me. Am I missing something?
So she ain't messing with no broke Aussies.
No, I haven't. I don't have. Wait, no, Shane messing with no broke Aussies. I don't know what we're talking about.
What did you have for happy news?
Oh no, she ain't no. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. But is this the final one? Because you screwed me up with the light beer and everything. Is there something I'm missing?
Okay, there is nothing happy about light beer, Sean. It is an absolute travesty.
Happy news,
It shouldn't
folks.
even
We're at
exist.
happy news. We're at happy news. I'd like to point out that I said 43 minutes and 30 seconds. We just passed it. Like son of a bee. You know, like two's had to. Anyways, here it is. Okay, she ain't messing with no broke Aussie. Happy news of the week is an Australian man armed with a budget metal detector has hit the jackpot, finding a 4.6 kilogram rock containing gold worth $240,000. The man, who doesn't want to be named, made the discovery in Victoria's goldfields, which were the heart of Australia's gold rush in the 1800s. Darren Camp, who valued and bought the specimen, said it's the biggest thing he's seen in his 43-year career. He was just gob-smacked. It's a once-in-a-lifetime find. I chuckled at the end of this. It said, all up, the 4.6 kilogram rock contained about 83 ounces or about 2.6 kilograms of gold. And he says the lucky man is looking forward to spending the windfall on his family. He said to me, oh, the wife will be happy. I bet she will.
Yeah. Happy wife, happy life, right? But I mean, this is really nice. Actually, one of the listeners, Iceman, sent this to us, and
you know who Iceman is, right?
No.
You have no idea who that is?
No, not at all.
Well, here, I'll lay it on you. That's my one of my brothers. Listens all the time. That'd be Harley. Harley's the one sending all the articles in Twitter. There you go. So shout out to Harley.
How did I miss that? We should totally have him on. He's like just from the articles and everything like that. He seems way more interesting than Dustin is.
Well, I tell you what. I'm sure he would love to come on. As far as the Brothers go, the Brothers Roundtable is firing up for the Edmonton Oilers playoff run. I don't know if the Flames are going to be like. Do you know do Flames understand what the playoffs are anymore? Terrible audio there. Terrible audio.
Sorry. You were just sorry. The last thing I heard was we were talking about.
I was just saying how the Brothers Roundtable is going to be coming back once a week for the Oilers playoff run, and all the brothers are going to be on it once a week. I'm rather looking forward to it. I don't think we'll talk much about the Calgary Flames, though. I don't think they're going to be making it.
So, Aussie Gold Nugget. Fuck you, Sean.
Ah, man. Mashup 49. What a train wreck, you know? I apologize, Ariel. You'll get a better one on 50, you know?
I think this was a really good one. I had fun with it.
Oh, I have fun with them all. Sean couldn't figure his head from his ass for most of the show. I mean,
That's because they look the same.
Well, that's quite the compliment, because, I mean, I think I'm a good-looking man, so I just assume that it goes... Anyways. Hey, thanks for everybody tuning in. We got a couple comments coming in a little late. Holy crap, this is a long one.
Whoa.
This is about the Rex Murphy. So it's celebrating 100 years of Rotary in Red Deer, so thanks, Brianna Rhodes. Brianne Rhodes, I think. I don't know the brain.
Tables of 8 are available.
There you go. So
save the date. 100 years of Rotary in Red Deer with Rex Murphy.
May 4th.
How cool is that Rex Murphy is just coming all the way across the country to just help do a fundraiser?
How cool would
for
it
a
be
local
to have
community?
Rex Murphy on the Mashup? Maybe the Mashup should get a table and pitch him the idea. Oh boy, so many.
I wouldn't
ideas.
understand a word the guy said.
Can you imagine how much fun that'd be? That'd be fun. Earl Whaley says, yes, Brothers Roundtable. Oh, yeah, we're coming hard and heavy for the Oilers playoff
I've
run.
been telling you for years, Sean, that the Brothers Roundtable is my favorite part of your podcast.
Yeah, it's funny. The brothers are a weird group of gentlemen. When I say, "Hey, we should get together," oh yeah, we should, yeah, and then like 2 months go by and we still haven't done one. I'm like, okay,
That's called being 40.
probably. Last year I learned a very valuable lesson when the Oilers were playing, even the Flames were playing. I wanted to talk hockey. I was like, we got to talk some hockey, but I had no. I'm like, so this year I'm not making the same mistake. I know I'm going to want to talk hockey. So I'm going to have a brothers roundtable once a week, and we're gonna talk some hockey, which is going to be a ton of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome.
Can Sutter make the playoffs? His post game interviews are gold. I will agree with that. 100%.
I love Sutter. Yeah,
Until you miss
I
the
drive.
playoffs and
Just cool it a little bit for a second. I drive through his town on a fairly regular basis, and every time I'm just like, I'm gonna stop here. Maybe I'll run into him. I'm gonna stop, like that Burger King in Viking, and then they got the Dairy King, and then you're just like, okay, well like I always stop in that town just because one of these days I'm probably gonna run into him eventually, right? Just whatever kind of roadside stop as I'm driving through, and I've always got my fingers crossed. Like, come on, Sutters, like any of them, and I never see. Okay, all right, yeah, you know what?
I just want to pull up the Pacific Division. I'm just right there.
we're
They're
right on the cusp. We're right on the cusp.
87 points, eh? Well, we'll see if you can squeak in. Maybe.
You're a real squeaker right now, Sean. A real squeaker. Like a
She
fart.
says Brienne says she'll
Sit at our table.
if we get a table. There you go.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we just, see if 6 people want to come hang out with us or something.
I don't know. But it's a possibility. I mean, Rex Murphy's going to be in Red Deer. I've been trying to get Rex on the podcast now for like a year and a half, and it just hasn't worked out.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'll just take a random shot, and he'll be on mine first.
ooh, interesting. Are we putting a little side bet on this? Is that what we're doing? Because
No.
no.
Oh, come on. As if he would be on mine before he'd be on yours, you dick.
Kurt Hutchings says, I can translate any of Rex's Newfie terms you guys don't understand. That's
So
great.
here's the thing. Like, if you want to understand, I totally get you, Kurt, right? Because here's the thing. When it comes to speaking Newfoundlandese, it's very simple. You say everything as fast as you possibly can, except the word Newfoundland, and all of the vowels are pronounced and that's it. So, how's you getting on there, bye? Oh yeah, not too bad. Oh yeah, just going over to that Newfoundland. Oh, it's best kind. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I just fucking love that Newfoundland. Oh, I know it's for sure. You don't tell me. I know it's for sure. That's it. That's Newfoundlandese.
How about this? Say, what's funny? Actually, before we get to this, I'm going to hide this for a second. We must harass the East quite a bit. I assume that goes without saying. I got a text today saying, Sean, there's more Canadians that we live east of Manitoba as well, or something along that lines, because I must be pretty hard on somebody past Manitoba. Anyways, we got a bunch of listeners out in Ontario too, and we're supposed to, go a little easier on them. And that type of thing. Anyways, that was the text today. Say the word, I will fly out if I get a seat at your table. That's Earl Whaley. Earl, where are you from?
Too?
Yeah, where are you from? Where are you flying
Where
to?
are you there, by?
Yeah. Happy news. As we wait for Earl, hopefully, to respond to that before we end this. 49. What do you want to do for 50? What do people want to see on 50? You got any ideas? Ontario. No shit. There you go.
To hear that, Earl.
What do you want to do on 50? What do you want to do for a year? Man, this is going to be tough.
I don't even know. You know what? I feel like the odds
New
are
music. What is up
New
with
music?
George and the music? George, we're not having new music.
We're not just gonna sit here listening to Rammstein all day.
Although we could play this guy named Paul Brandt. For
we've got that in our pocket. We
do
haven't
have
pulled
that
it
in our
out yet.
pocket. We haven't pulled that out.
So we've been talking about how maybe it might be interesting to mix up the intro song and, focus on some local music or new music or interesting music or whatever else. And then, because Sean and Paul Brandt are best friends,
We're not,
which
but we're on speaking terms, and I think highly
which
of
I'm
it.
totally jealous of. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we got the go ahead from Paul to use some music for the
To use
mashup.
to use Alberta Bound. I think that was the song, wasn't it? Wasn't
Well,
it
no,
Alberta Bound?
it was kind of a carte blanche, and then we kind of just got paralysis by analysis because you think like, okay, well, yeah, he's got some decent tunes, and then you start going through the catalog, and you're like, how the fuck am I gonna pick out a perfect song here, right? It's like trying to pick your favorite kid before they turn 5.
Well, so the idea, what Tuz is talking about, is that we'd instead of playing the same song at the start of every mashup, maybe you could pick out some Canadian artists that want to get their music heard, and this would be a way to showcase it. Anyways,
Yep.
it was an idea we'd thrown it at Paul, and Paul loved it, and then we haven't done anything with it, which, yeah, I don't know what to do with that, other than George is hassling us about new music, and I'm like, well, what the heck? I thought people enjoyed it. And I tell you what, folks, we do new music. Twos for sure doesn't get to rant over it because we're going to all want to listen to it. No? Or rant.
Motherfucker.
Anyways, that's
Well-
just thought. And Earl says, it's not my fault. I identify as an Albertan.
We love you, Earl.
Oh, man. That's going to wrap it up for 49, isn't it? And isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
You know what? I said 43 and 30 or 44 and 30. I think it was 43 and 30. We're at 54 minutes. I let us stay long,
I mean,
I just-
there's always a couple minutes at the end. Here's the thing. If you're still listening and you're in Eastern Canada and you come across something where you're like, well, you know what? That would be interesting for them to talk about, because our news gets a little bit more focused on what's more local to us. Throw it our way. Just because we haven't seen it yet doesn't mean, I just, by all means, I can't guarantee it'll show up on the show, but if you think something's worth talking about, we're interested in hearing about it.
And I tell you what, we will toy with. I like that too. And then Zane has said new artist debut is an awesome idea for sure. If we get, I don't know, a handful of artists that reach out saying, "Hey, I would love to like showcase my music," we'll start to talk about it. I think, right? Like, I mean, we've thrown out the idea. Let's see what comes back of it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. Like, there's so many awesome bands out there that don't make it big. I remember when I lived in Saskatoon for a few years, and there was a few really cool bands that got nearly big, and then just something never quite happened. But you're like, this is an absolute banger. Like, these are some awesome tunes, and they'd be great for a live show, opening for like Wide Mouth Mason and Big Sugar or whatever else kind of thing. And then they just, somebody gets married, Billy quit and Joey got married and whatever else, right? And I think it shouldn't be too terribly difficult to find some, decent tunes that get us primed up and ready to go and talk about how stupid this world has become. Okay, call in.
Earl has said call in ? We talked about
Okay.
that probably 2-3 episodes ago, and it's been kind of this like, how much fun would a call in be? Do you do it on, now I've had people suggesting Twitter Spaces. You do it on Twitter Space and do it there. But wouldn't it be better just to have a true call in show?
Well, yes and no. I think that Twitter Space would probably be a really easy spot to have it rather than a call-in show where, I don't know, you've got to try and manage call waiting and just like, okay, you just hit a random button kind of thing. And I think functionally speaking, Twitter Spaces would be the easier thing to do. But I don't know if I'm willing to give it a shot. I don't know. I want to put more prep into it before I start trying to do something before I've thought it through fully. But I was thinking that we would start looking at that after we did the election coverage.
Yeah, well, for people still, like Two says, hanging on with us here, I agree with Two's, actually. We're taking a look at May 29th. There's going to be a lot of prep that has to go into that. That's going to take up, well, it already is taking up time as we slowly get closer and closer to it, because we want something that, when you tune in, it is, it's well done. We don't want it to be a complete mockery, right? Like, obviously,
what if you tuned into live election coverage
and it didn't suck?
It didn't suck.
Yeah, well,
that's it.
So we're going to do that. That's exactly what May 29th is going to be. Tuesday mashup, election coverage that doesn't suck. I mean, it's like, boom, done. Put that on a billboard. Let's roll. So we're working our way towards that. That's going to take, you think you're like, oh, it's 2 months away. And let me tell you, in planning these things, that'll go awfully quick.
I probably put about 40 hours of planning into it already.
And then we got two things now that are percolating. We have a call-in idea that I think could carry some water. We just got to figure out how to do it. And then this new artist thing is interesting, because right now, as I sit here, Zane says, "How about Dallas Alexander?" And he's not wrong. Literally interviewed Dallas. I'm sure Dallas would be over the moon to get his music heard by more people. He's an Alberta boy, and I have one of his songs on my Spotify playlist. Listen to it all the time now, and I think it would be awesome to have that on one of the shows. And it's like, how easy would that be? That's probably a text away, I assume. But this is, like Two said, this takes a little bit of fanning to get it rolling, and then if it does, maybe after Alberta election coverage, we look into different music things, or maybe I get 50 texts over the course of this week, and we're like, wow, let's just start it, and away we go. Who knows?
It's one of those things where, I don't know, if there's a lot of push for it, I could be convinced, but I would feel much more comfortable taking my time and figuring out exactly what I wanted to look like. What is with the sparkles emoji? I never understood that.
I don't know, but that's Garden Girl. That's the
that's Garden. Oh yes, absolutely.
Garden Girl's giving us the high fives, I think. Hey,
yes.
Garden Girl. Well, hopefully we didn't butcher it too much for you tonight. There was the.
I mean,
the show sponsors listening to the show, folks. That's how committed she is to us two jackasses at times.
Hey, Ariel.
Two's like, what are we doing here? What is this about? I'm like, it's Garden Girl.
Well, I just looked at the emoji first, and I didn't look at the name, because you always butcher pronouncing them anyway. You'd be like, yeah, so it's Garden Girl. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right.
Zane's been all over me via text. He goes, it took a few weeks to finally break 18 souls watching on the live stream. It's been a slow burn. We hadn't told anyone we were doing
on
this.
The Facebook thing. On Twitter, I had like 500 people tune in, and I announced it 10 minutes before.
Yes. Twitter's different, though, because you can... I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm laughing about it because I get what he's saying, but we haven't announced it. Like, I don't. We don't put out this huge thing and show that this is
we're
the day.
We're our own worst enemies on this,
yes,
Sean.
It is true. It's true. It's true. But in saying that, he also said, love the live election coverage. Let's spread the word and outperform legacy media. That shouldn't be that hard, honestly.
I don't think it shouldn't be
that
that hard either. And it's on a Monday night. We're actually toying with the idea of seeing if any bars will play it. I mean, how great would it be to sit around, have a few pints and wings, and see what the country what the province is going to look like for the next 4 years?
I think it's a great idea. Oh, and she's Brianna says, I prefer to watch on Rumble so I can close the app, but then I can't comment. Anyways, I know what she means.
It seems as though you can.
Well, you can't.
I'm just saying, like, just looking at what's in front of me right now, it appears as though you are able to comment.
Anyways.
Okay. Well, let's just call it here.
Let's call it here. 49. Thanks for tuning in tonight, folks. And
1 year anniversary next week.
Yeah, and we'll see if we can have a little. She's calling you on your shit. Hey?
Yes, I am an ass. Have we met? Do you know nothing about me? I'm
Anyone-
sorry. I'm sorry.
anyways,
You guys are great. You guys are great. I'm just being a smart aleck.
Anyways, there's some ideas percolating, and me and Twos will talk about it certainly tomorrow morning. As we sit here Monday night. If you're listening on the podcast, shoot off some text to the line and see what your thoughts are on artists. Maybe you know some election coverage. Thoughts on that? If you own a bar, maybe you want to play it. Hey, that'd be super cool. Anyways, different ideas coming at us hard and heavy here this week. And the call-in show. Yeah, the call-in show would be a ton of fun. But we have to do that. We have to try it at least once, and we will make sure.
We have to try 5. We got to do the 5. I apologize for that.
Brad says, I sat through your stand-up debut, yet here I am. Isn't that true, folks? Once again, thanks for 49. Next week
Thanks for
on
coming
episode
to check
50.
it out, Brianne.
And it should be. Well, we'll see what we can cook up for y'all, and we'll see where Sean is at, because I feel like I'm on the road for the next one, so hopefully I'm not dying in some storage room at some hotel. Either way. That's all. Thanks for tuning in. Twos, as always, we'll catch you on episode or Mashup 50.
We'll see you on the 1-year anniversary, buddy.